Landscape architecture originates in the most successive and ancient powers in history: Persia, Egypt, Greece, Rome. During the Middle Ages, landscape architecture almost disappeared, but it resurfaced in Italy during the Renaissance. Around this time, landscape architecture was also spreading all over Asia, in countries like China or Japan. A few hundred years later, England's age of landscape architecture begins. They offer an alternative to France's sophisticated geometric landscapes. Then, in America, Frederick Law Olmsted begins his masterpiece, Central Park, and with it begins the age of modern landscape architecture. This is just a brief history of landscape architecture. So then what actually is landscape architecture? Merriam-Webster defines a landscape architect as a person who develops land for human use and enjoyment through effective placement of structures, vehicular and pedestrian ways, and plantings. If you check Wikipedia, it will tell you that landscape architecture is the design of outdoor public areas, landmarks, and structures to achieve environmental, social, behavioral, or aesthetic outcomes. It involves the systematic investigation of existing social, ecological, and soil conditions and the processes in the landscape, and the design of interventions that will produce the desired outcome. One way to look at landscape architecture is by imagining a bowl of oatmeal. You have your oatmeal being the quote-unquote meat of the dish, then you have raisins, nuts, and berries thrown in on top. The oatmeal is the landscape architecture, and the extra stuff are the buildings, monuments, and trees. I've given you plenty of definitions and examples of landscape architecture, but what else is landscape architecture?
It's an art.
It's a profession.
Go for it.
Landscape architecture is really a lifestyle, you know. You come to studio all the time, you're working on your projects all the time, and you're always thinking about these projects, always trying to develop your design. So you basically live it, you know.